So the Raptors gave their fans some hope last night, building as much as a 17-point lead early in the second quarter, and this bucket is an important demonstration of what their team offense was or wasn't doing. The handoff doesn't force a switch, doesn't get an attack downhill, and it's a little weird because they've got Thaddeus Young standing below the block on that same side, which puts his defender in good position to stop this. Siakam takes matters into his own hands with the ISO on Harris. Again, there's no way to get to the hoop, even if this dribble move worked, now that there are two Raptors, along with their men, standing on that left block. There's a term for this. It's called bad spacing. But the quick release from just inside the free throw line gets them a bucket and the big lead. You shouldn't see a lot of confusion with your offense at this point in the season, but Siakam gets the call from the bench, then has to motion to Trent Jr. to go get the ball, while they run Van Vliet off this back screen that flows into the ball screen. This is funky. Why are two players standing together in the corner? Nick Nurse knows something's up. He throws up his hands to Van Vliet, who gives it right back, and they have a silent conversation while Siakam is trying to post up, and I say trying after you see what happens with this shot. And it's not like Philly was running much offense either, but they've got a guy named Joel Embiid, who up till this point had 25 points on 9 of 15 shooting. I love the double team to get it out of his hands and make someone else beat you, considering Harden is on the bench in foul trouble. Not an inch of movement from this offense, really just watching the paint dry. And when Embiid gets it back again, no double team this time, just a little shot fake jab step, and Joel Cole buries the jumper to tie it. With under a minute to go, more confusion by the Raptors. Van Vliet has got to point out where OG should be going. He seems totally uncertain where he should catch this ball. I don't think Trent Jr. knows where he wants to be either. And then Van Vliet wants to screen for Siakam, who wants to screen for Trent, but somehow this gets them penetration off the middle ball screen, with Precious somehow catching the serious heater thrown at him. This looked bad until he hit the brakes, reversed direction, and was able to draw Harden's sixth foul. The irony is that Precious used the Harden move to clamp his hand between his bicep and forearm. Great stuff. That's how you do it. And Harden can't believe he fell for his own trick. But Achua isn't a good free throw shooter, and look into his eyes. Does it look like he'll make the second? Now the entire arena is holding their breath, knowing that a loss here dooms them for the entire series. If the Sixers do this right, they can take a shot to go ahead and leave only 4 or 5 seconds left for the Raptors, which would still be an eternity with 2 timeouts Nurse can take. Of course they're going to go to Embiid in that left elbow, and of course they're going to jump it right away, but on the retreat dribble, they give up the double way too easily. But Achua does a decent job to stay in front and contest without fouling, and if the entire arena didn't let out a gasp on this shot, they certainly almost fell off their chairs, seeing OG get out-muscled by Harris for the rebound and the point-blank putback. They dodge a bullet like Neo in the Matrix, and now the crowd has got an extra 5 minutes of game time for free. It's games like this where you need to find your inner peace in order to perform your best, and I can help you achieve that by using Calm, the #1 mental wellness app that gives you tools that improve the way you feel. It can be like meditation, or just a way to take a deep breath and let it out. It's important to find your center so that you can perform your best, and Calm can help. They even have daily movement sessions designed to relax your body and uplift your mind. I love the soothing voice and music by Harry Styles that helps me fall right to sleep. And you need to check out all their calming content. If you go to calm.com/bball, you'll get a special offer of 40% off a Calm premium subscription with new content added every week. Calm is ready to help you stress less, sleep more, and live a happier, healthier life so you can handle the pressure-filled moments of overtime better than the Raptors did in Game 3, as Siakam doesn't get going downhill fast enough for Van Vliet. This was a roller coaster, and I don't know if Gary Trent Jr. is that guy, the one to cold-blooded ISO for a key bucket, and Tobias Harris makes him look pretty foolish with a little deflection into straight strip on the way up. And it led to the "what is this" possession, as they just couldn't get anything going without any side-to-side movement, and trying to attack right into the teeth of the defense as Achua bobbles this thing straight out of bounds. I wasn't sure Philly wanted this game either, as they never even looked at Embiid during the whole possession and let Maxey try to be that guy. Unfortunately for him, he's not that guy either, as the ball slams off the backboard and the Raptors have another chance. But the clock is against them. There's no way to get a 2-for-1, so Philly knows they're getting the ball back. OG gets into the lane for the nice layup, and while the block itself is clean near his hand, Embiid makes clear contact with his head. And I really think Doc and company need to tone it down with the histrionics over calls. Embiid certainly knew he got OG up top. The danger is that it affects your play on the other end, and Doc seems to encourage it. OG can't stand prosperity, but neither can Embiid. No offense needed for a guy like this, but I love Precious for poking it away when Embiid foolishly glances up at the clock. He should be checking the clock over this hoop. Almost a catastrophic mistake until Doc comes flying onto the court to call a timeout. I mean, I'd hate to see a technical foul called for this, but I also don't think he should be allowed to come this far out of the coaching box to save his team from a terrible possession. But this is what the playoffs are about, memories that last a lifetime, and this certainly goes down as one. I just don't think it's a good idea to not have a defender guarding the inbounder. You can really make it hard on him by cutting off angles, and that's what VanVleet was going to do, although I'd have had a much bigger and longer player there. But watch Nick Nurse quickly tell VanVleet to get underneath the hoop. I have no idea what good he'd do down there at 6 feet in shoes, and he seems confused about it until he dutifully gets down there. Meanwhile, here's the play. Philly is stacked. The first two players in the stack are going to curl to the weak side, no screen set, and then Tobias will screen for Embiid going to the left wing. Now watch what happens. OG stays with Niang as he curls off, but Trent gets confused and thinks he should be switching on to Niang, but it's his man who's screening. Trent should have just been there to switch and stayed glued to Embiid. Meanwhile, Green has a clear view of the entire proceedings as he's unguarded, and VanVleet realizes what has happened 2 steps too late as Embiid gets the ball, turns to fire it up, and just shocks the entire arena in a cruel twist of fate, considering Embiid himself was left crying in the hallways after the shot Kawhi hit a few years ago on this very same basket. Did he really get it off in 0.9? Sure, it's actually not that hyper quick if you think about it, and now the Raptors are in too deep a hole to get out of. They might not even recover from this one to force it back to Philly for a Game 5, and I suspect it won't be nearly as close as this one.